Premiership final, folks. It's Leicester up against Saracens. Number 1 against number 2. We're going to go through some stats, lineups, and predictions. You guys can let me know your thoughts on how the final game of the Premiership season is going to go. Like I said, 1 against 2. Leicester, I think, exceeded most people's expectations with 20 wins and 4 losses. Saracens, 17 wins, 6 losses, and a draw. Also a pretty tidy season from them. They did both get wins in their semi-finals pretty comfortably compared to some of the other competitions we've seen, like Super Rugby and URC, which had semi-finals on the same week. They weren't that close. 27-14 over Northampton and 34-17 over Quins. Both these sides, as I said, marching on to the final with kind of ease. They did play each other twice during the regular season of the Premiership, and it was a split, with Leicester just edging them way back in October. I seem to remember there was a bit of controversy or a bit of luck about that one. I can't remember the actual game, but I remember it went down right to the wire. And Sarries got the return victory back at home, 34-17 in March. Did Leicester change up their team for that one? It's too long ago. It doesn't matter. Speaking of the teams, Leicester have made a few changes. Wigglesworth is back in the squad starting at 9, which means Ben Youngs is down to the bench. Chris Ashton is on the wing alongside Mr. Potter. And Guy Porter moves to the midfield for this one. So there's no spot for Nemani Nandolo this week. And Dan Kelly went off very early in the semi-final last week, so he's not available. Matt Scott is in on the bench. Ben Youngs continues on along the bench as well. George Ford kind of goes without saying. He's at 10. Moroni's at 13. And Freddie Steward is at fullback. So the backs, a little bit of swapping a jersey numbers and whatnot. And Wigglesworth and Ashton being back. But not real wholesale changes, which you would expect, because no one wants to make wholesale changes right before a final. And the forward pack is rather consistent with just Chessum being the only change. Genge, Montoya and Cole, the same front row. Chessum swaps places with Wells in the second row, so one starts and the other's on the bench. Green is alongside Chessum, and then Liebenberg, Reffell and Wiese the back row. So yeah, a little bit of changes, but as I said, not wholesale. You got George Martin on the bench, Joe Hayes and so on. I mean, stats wise for the Leicester boys, I mean, George Ford is your top scorer in the Premiership. Jasper Wiese has been breaking tackles for fun. And Chessum, interestingly, is one of the top line-out stealing guys of the competition. So maybe they've brought him in to start to really try and disrupt what Sarries are doing at line-out time. For Saracens, they have made only, I think, the one change to the starting lineup, which is Nick Ezekwe, to get a start at number 5. He was also very good at line-out time last week. So it's Mako, Vunipola, Jamie George, Vincent Koch. That's an all-international front row, so very, very tidy. Itoje and Ezekwe, like I mentioned, and then McFarland, Earl, and Vunipola. That's Billy. The back row, Ben Earl was phenomenal last week. If you saw that game, you know he scored a hat-trick. We'll get onto his stats in a second. Elliot Davies alongside Owen Farrell, 9-10. Kind of steady as she goes. Nick Tompkins, Elliot Daly, also steady as she goes. Malins, Maitland, and Goode. Yeah, man, it's a lot of internationals in that Saracen squad as well. Earl is the top tackler in the Premiership. Billy V is the second guy for offloads. Malins is the top try scorer. So both these sides, you've kind of got game breakers all around. Last week, though, interestingly, George Ford, I mean, I mentioned the fact that he's the top scorer in the Premiership. He did miss a few kicks at goal, but then so did Owen Farrell. So neither of them were kind of spot on with the boot. It'll be interesting to see if they have any of the kind of pressure get to them. They're both well-experienced internationals, so you would hope not, but the pressure of a final, you never know. Last week, I mean, Leicester, they won the game with some pretty sparkling offense at times, some clean breaks. Some offloads, but like I said, the goal kicking wasn't quite there. And the Sarries boys, they tackled at 90%. They mauled it pretty well. And then, like I said, Ben Earl managed to get a hat-trick. So, yeah, pretty tidy stuff. The weather forecast looks like there are going to be a few showers from what I've seen. But it doesn't look like it's going to be full-on rain. So whether that has an influence, does that give the Sarries boys the edge? I don't know. Their set piece certainly last week was pretty impressive. Interestingly, when you look at these two sides overall for the season, Saracens have had more tries, but they've also conceded more tries. So Leicester scored fewer tries, conceded fewer tries. So yeah, man, I don't know. How's this one is going to go? The bookies say Saracens by 5, and the rugby forecast algorithm also has Saracens, but only by 1. So despite the fact they finished top, Leicester are ever so slight underdogs for this one. You guys let me know your thoughts. How do you see this one going? Do you think the Tigers season is going to go on and we'll see more from them, what we've seen all season? Or do you think the Sarries boys are just coming back home too strong? You guys let me know your thoughts. And yes, I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.